Good afternoon and welcome. Glad to see you here for another live here on YouTube. So let's just get started. So today we're going to talk about home security on Go for Lunch for November 15th, 2022, brought to you by GoFor Technology. I'm Roger Harmon, your host, and as always, we're here to make your technology work for you. So home security is something that I thought might be good for this time of the year when, unfortunately, because people are buying things for gifts for the holiday season, your home may become more likely target for a burglar. So there's two kinds of security we're going to talk about. This week we're going to talk about physical security, and next week we're going to talk about electronic security. So the FBI says that about 65% of home break-ins occur by forcing in the front door, the back, or the garage service door. 12% of the entries are where burglars find the hidden key. So think about that. And sometimes the burglar just walks through an unlocked door. So physical security would include locking your doors and windows. So use the locks that you already have and make sure that, especially when you leave town or leave home, that your doors are all secured along with your windows. So one thing that you can do, because of those 65% of those entries are through a door, is to reinforce the door with a high security strike. So this is an example of a high security strike. So it is a metal strike plate that is much larger than the strike plate you have now. And the key to this is it uses 2.5-inch long screws so that the strike is secured into the 2x4 or 2x6 frame around the door and not just the molding. So it makes it very difficult for someone to kick in your door because they're kicking a 8-foot 2x4, not just a flimsy little frame. So another thing you can do is add a security screen door if you haven't already. So that gives a metal door that is also much harder to break into. So another way to secure physically your doors are to add long throw deadbolts. So that would be a deadbolt that's 1 inch or longer. So it goes into the frame at least 1 inch. So here's an example on the lower left of a typical deadbolt, which is only 1/2 inch. And then this is a long throw deadbolt, which is at least 1 inch. I think this one says 2 inches on there. Hard to read. So when I went onto Home Depot and Lowe's website, I could only find one deadbolt there that had a 1 inch throw. And it's called, I forgot what it's called, maybe Defiant. It costs about $40. So you got to look carefully at the specifications and the pictures, because the vast majority of deadbolts are only that 1/2 inch. Another style that you can get is this style where it has a vertical bolt that fastens into a very secure strike plate, and then of course these 5 screws here would be long enough to get into the frame around the door. So that's another alternative. You might not want to use that on your front door, but you could use that on a back door or a garage door. So another thing you can do to have security and emergency access at the same time is to get a lockbox for your door keys that would mount. either on the door, or you could mount it on the wall next to the door. And to do that, what you do is you contact your local fire prevention office from your local fire department, and they probably have a program that tells you which lockbox to order. And then when you get that in place, they will come out with their secure key that nobody else has but emergency services, and unlock it for you, and then you place your house keys in there, and then they lock it. So when a first responder comes, they have that special key. They can unlock your door without doing hundreds of dollars of damage trying to get into your house when you have a fire or a medical emergency. So here's a example of the wall-mounted lockbox. The same lockbox will come with a bracket here on the back that you can mount to the door itself, and the screws are on the inside of the door so they can't be accessed. And so once you get that mounted, again, the fire department will come out and unlock it with their special key, and then you put your house keys inside, and you can avoid damage and save time when you need a first responder to get in your house. So another way of having physical security is to restrict sliding doors and windows from being lifted out of the track. So what you do is you drill holes in the top of the track, and it would look like this. So this is the frame of the window. This is the slider. So you put a sheet metal screw up here, like spaced like maybe 8 to 12 inches apart, depending on the size of your window. And so the window can't go up, it can only slide back and forth. So it's another way of securing your windows so that a burglar can't pry it out. So also you want to restrict sliding doors and windows from sliding when you don't want them to slide. So you can place a bar to block the opening. Here's an example of a commercial bar. This one has a child-proof latch on it so that a small child can't unlock it. And you can also, of course, use a wood dowel or some other piece of material that is just the right size to slip into the track, but will keep the door from sliding horizontally. So outside your house, you want to trim your plants in the yard so that your neighbors can see your home and the burglar can't hide behind vegetation and work on breaking into your house. You also want to make sure that your house numbers are visible, not only from the front, but from the rear. So if you have an alley, you have a fence or a wall, place your street number back there so and when a police unit is trying to find your house from the rear, so if you have like a burglary in progress, they know which house they need to get to. That is very helpful. In some areas, they actually encourage you to put your house number on the roof so the police helicopter can see you. Unfortunately, this is a after-the-fact technique, but if you do get burglarized, you want to be able to present factual information to your insurance company as to what was taken, and you do that by implementing operation identification. So you can etch your driver's license on items that don't have a serial number, and some police departments will actually loan you the etching tool. They're not very expensive to purchase. And then also items that have a serial number, you want to make an inventory of those, list the description, the serial number, and your original cost. So that will help you get your claim done a lot easier when you deal with the insurance company. You also want to photograph jewelry and other valuables. And actually, while you're photographing, you might just photograph the interior of your house in case there's any vandalism during a burglary. You can show what it looked like before that happened and prove to the insurance company what needs to be done. So you want to light up your property at night. So you want to have at least 60-watt bulbs by all your doors, your front and back doors, and anywhere that you have vehicles parked. And of course, motion sensor lights are always good. That alerts you and your neighbors and the criminal that somebody is taking some precautions. And you want to make your house look like somebody's home when you're not. You do that by adding timers on lights that are random, come off at various different times of the night, and also create some kind of noise in the house with a radio or a TV. So you create the image that your house is occupied. And of course, a dog helps. So if you don't have a dog, you might consider a dog to help deter crime around your house. Neighborhood Watch is an excellent program to prevent burglaries and other crimes in your area. So I put links in the description to the Tucson Police, Pima County Sheriff, Marana PD, and Oro Valley Police Neighborhood Watch program. So if you're interested in finding out more about Neighborhood Watch, those resources are right down here. So even if you don't have a Neighborhood Watch program, you need to know your neighbors. So sometimes we don't know our neighbors, so this would be a good time, bring them a plate of cookies or something and say hi, introduce yourself, and exchange contact information. Here's a form that I got off the Tucson Police website. So this would be a nice way to note the name, address, phone number, and description of vehicles that belong to the house from all the houses around you. And you could actually, when you go to meet your neighbor, you could just bring a copy of one of these with you, and that is in that link on the description below for Tucson Police. So the whole idea here is to deter criminal activity by having good lighting, having your landscaping trimmed, having obvious signs that you're taking precautions. And then if that doesn't work, then delay the entry by securing your doors and windows, and then detecting any unlawful activity. We'll talk about that more next week when we look at the electronic ways of home security. So the whole idea is to deny access to your home to people that don't belong there and are up to no good. So if you haven't already, please write your questions down. And a couple of notes here. As always, please share the GoFor Gazette, which comes to your email inbox every Monday morning about 7 o'clock with anybody you know that uses Apple equipment, so we can help them too. So there is a little update to Zoom, so you can check your Zoom, and if you don't have version 5.1.12.8, 5.12.8, then go ahead and update that, but be aware that there's a bug. So this apparently happened during one of the recent updates. And what happens is when you click on the link that someone gives you for a Zoom meeting, it takes you to a page where it wants you to register, which you've probably never seen before. So don't let that throw you. Just go ahead and fill that out and let the meeting organizer know that you got that, so they can go into their settings and uncheck the box that requires registration, which they had unchecked before this bug apparently turned it on. So don't let it throw you. And if you're interested in our Zoom meeting tonight for the Tucson Macintosh user group, I did turn that off, so you won't have that problem when you follow the link in the GoFor Gazette. Join us at 6 for the Tucson Macintosh user group monthly meeting. So what do we have here? Welcome, Bob. And yes, I am in the USA. And hi, Gretchen. And Susan mentions that First responders are only the ones who have access to the house key. They do not have access. You do not have access to the keys. That's right. So if you think that lockbox will help you if you get locked out, you're wrong. It won't, unless you call the fire department, which probably would not be a good use of their time. So keep a key with a trusted neighbor. And again, if you hide a key, make sure you hide it really well so the burglar can't find it. And hi, Judy. Glad to see you here. So just a note that the reason I included the physical security is because I have a lot of experience in helping people with physical security. In another career, I did dozens of neighborhood watch meetings where I talked about these principles with residents around Pima County. And I also did home security checks where I, advised people on what they could do to secure their home. So this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. So let's call it a day. And if you think of any questions you'd like to have about this or anything else, any topics you'd like me to cover on a future live, then you can call me or email me, and that information is coming up right now. Have a great rest of your day.